everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama one more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari
Yeah, that's okay for me. Go for all right.
Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sankand Radha Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadip Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Yamuna Mai ki jai, Guru Dwarka Dham ki jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai, all glories to the all glories to the Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Gurudev, my humble obeisance.
Haribol.
Guru Maharaj, nice to see your holiness today.
Okay, very nice, Jairada Madhava. As far as
Yes,
I know, number 15.
yeah,
Right?
number 15 and 16, I will put on the screen.
Both, huh? You said you weren't going to put it on. Oh, that was Monday. Okay.
Now it's okay. I put it now.
Now it's good, 15 and 16, because 15 has no papers.
Okay, then I'll just read 15 and go to 16.
Yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Srimad Bhagavatam is brilliant as the sun. This is first canto, chapter 7, son of Drona punished, text number 15 and 16. Mata
Mata
Sisunam
Sisunam
Nidanam
Nidanam
Suridam.
Sutanam
Excuse me. Bad eyes, no good light. Nishamya
Neshamya
Goram
Goram
Paritapyamana
Paritabhyamana
Tada
Tada Tada
Tadadudad
Tada
Baspa
Tada Rudad Baspa Kalak Kulaksi
Tam
Tam
Santwayam
Santvayan
Aha
Aha
Kiritamali
Kiritamali
Mata Shishunam Nidanam Sutanam
Mata Sisunam Nidanam Sutanam
Nishamya Goram Paritapyamana
Nesamya Goram Paritabhyamana
Darudad Vaspa Kalakshi
Tatarudat Vaspa Kalakulaksi
Tam Santvayan Aha Kiritamana Kakiritamali
Tam Santvayan Aha Kiritamali
Mata Sisunam Nidanam Sutanam
Mata Sisunam Nidanam Sutanam
Nishamya Goram Paritapyamana
Nesamya Goram Paritabhyamana
Tadadudad Vaspa Kalakulakshi
Tadarudat Vaspa Kalakulaksi
Tam Shantvayam Aha Kiritamali.
Tam Satvayan Aha Kiritamali.
Okay, we got the rhythm now. Took me a few tries. Okay, someone else?
Mata Sisunam Nidanam Sutanam Nisamya Goram Paritabhyamana Tadarudat Vaspa
Apyamana
Tadarudat Vaspa Kalakulaksi
Tadadudad Vaspa Kulakshi
Tam Satvayam Aha Kiritamali Tam
Tam Swantayam
Satvayam
Aha Kiritamali. Okay. Mata,
Mata,
the mother.
the mother,
Shishunam,
Sishunam,
the children.
of the children,
Nidanam,
Nidanam,
massacre.
massacre,
Sutanam,
Sultanam,
of the sons.
of the sons,
Nishamya,
Nesamya,
after hearing.
after hearing,
Goram,
Goram,
ghastly.
ghastly,
It's kind of like the English word gore, G-O-R-E. Yeah, many Sanskrit words have an English. Paritapyamanam,
Paritabhyamana,
lamenting.
lamenting,
Tada,
Tada,
at that time.
at that time,
Arudat,
Arudat
began to cry.
began to cry,
Vaspakala, Akula, Akshi,
Vaspakala Akula Aksi,
with tears in her eyes.
with tears in her eyes.
Tam,
Tam,
her,
her,
Santvayam,
Santwayan,
pacifying.
pacifying.
Kiritamali, Arjuna.
Kiritamali, Arjuna.
Draupadi, the mother of the 5 children of the Pandavas, after hearing of the massacre of her sons, began to cry in distress with eyes full of tears. Trying to pacify her in her great loss, Arjuna spoke to her thus. 16. Tada suchastat pranjajani badre yad brahma bando shira attataina kandiva mukhair vishikair upahare twakramya yat shinasyasi dagdaputra snasyasi tada suchaste pramrijani badre yad brahma bando attataina kandiva muktair vishikair upahare twakamya yat snasyasi dagdaputra. One more time. Tada suchaste pramrijanti badre yad brahma bando shira atataina gandiva mukhair vishikair upahare twakamya yat nasyasi dagdaputra. Tada, at that time only,
Tada, at that time only.
sucha,
Sucha,
tears of grief,
tears in grief.
badre, pramrijani, I shall wipe away.
Pramrijani shall wipe away.
Badre,
Badre,
oh gentle lady.
oh gentle lady.
Yet,
Yet,
when Brahmabandho
Brahmabandho
of the degraded Brahmana,
of a degraded Brahmana,
Shira,
Shira,
head, Atataina,
Atatayana,
the aggressor,
of the aggressor,
Gandiva Muktai,
Gandiva Muktai,
shot by the bow named Gandiva,
shot by the bow named Gandiva,
Vishikai,
Vishikai,
by the arrows,
by the arrows,
Upare,
Upahare,
shall present to you,
shall present to you,
Twa, yourself, Akramya,
Akramya,
riding on it,
riding on it,
Yat,
which,
Snasyasi,
Snasyasi,
take your bath,
take your bath,
Dagdaputra,
Dagdaputra,
after burning the suns.
after burning the sons.
O gentle lady, when I present you with the head of that Brahmana, after beheading him with arrows from my Gandiva bow, I shall then wipe the tears from your eyes and pacify you. And after burning your sons, you can have a bath standing on his head. Oh yeah, I'm always waiting for translation. Purport. An enemy who sets fire to the house, administers poison, attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons, plunders wealth or usurps agricultural fields, or entices one's wife is called an aggressor. Such an aggressor, though he's a Brahmin or a so-called son of a Brahmin, has to be punished in all circumstances. When Arjuna promised to behead the aggressor named Ashvatthama, he knew well that Ashvatthama was the son of a Brahmana, but because of the so-called Brahman acted like a butcher, he was taken as such, and there was no question of sin in killing such a Brahman's son, who proved to be a villain. Om Gyana Timirandasya Gyanandjana Shalakaya Chaksurumilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sajajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahita Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Cha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunyavari Paschatya Desatarane Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. Hey Krishna, Namo Mahavranaya Krishna Prema, Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya, Namani Gora Tvishe Namaha. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate, Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari. Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaja Panjarantam Ajaiva Me Visatu Manasaraja Hansan Prana Pranama Samaye Patakapittai Kantavaro Dhanavido Smaranam Kutaste. Okay, I've been so many times a day I go through those prayers trying to get in the mood of really begging for mercy that I can speak something useful. But usually I just get puffed up that I've memorized things, but I'm still working on it. So this is a very, another one of those things that Sahadev might have a lot of questions on this pastime. Because if you know the Mahabharata, Ashwatthama is like the first terrorist. And what happened was they were defeated and there was only 3 of the Kurus left. It was Ashwatthama and Kripacharya and someone else. So they were just kind of lost, and they were sleeping under a tree. And the tree was full of crows. The crows were sleeping in the tree. And the owls are the enemy of the crow, and they attack at night, and they can see at night. And so they attacked and killed all the crows. So Ashwatthama woke up with all the noise, and then he got inspired that this is how to, get back on the Pandavas. And he thought he could kill the Pandavas. He went to their camp, he prayed, he did some yagas for Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva actually gave him this powerful sword and made him like really powerful. So he was really able to break through everything. And he thought he was killing the Pandavas, but he killed the sons. They were sleeping. And somehow the Pandavas weren't there that night. Because Pandavas couldn't be killed. They were demigods, They were sons of demigods directly, so they couldn't be killed actually. But all the demons thought they could kill him. So he's called a Brahma Bandhu, even though his father is a Brahmana, his mother is a Brahmana. He's not acting like a Brahmana. He always acted like a Kshatriya anyway. And he grew up with the Kurus, and he was friends with Duryodhana and all the Kuru warriors, and they're always envious of the Pandavas for many reasons. They're envious of Yudhishthira because he was the rightful next king, envious of Bhima because he was the most powerful, and they're envious of Arjuna because he was the best archer, and like that. So Arjuna is saying he's gonna, of course, Draupadi is crying, her sons were killed. And he's saying, don't worry, I'll bring him back. And he was telling her he's going to cut off the head. And he didn't do that. He brought him back whole. But then she got soft. Draupadi was a woman. So anyway, that comes up later. We hear again and again and again, not everybody understands this, that one is a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra or a Mlacha or Chandala or Yavana by activity. It's not hard and fast, by birth. But we know in this Kali Yuga, the Brahmanas were the first corruption, and they made this fanatic thing that you can't be a Brahmin unless you're born in a Brahmin family. And then so many corrupt Brahmins came along in the course of time. They weren't really Brahmanas, but still they made that rule very strongly. You were stuck. That's Krishna says, Chaturvarnamaya system. There's 4 orders. This is my system. And guna karma vibhagasha. It's decided by one's activities and one's qualities. Birth has nothing to do with it. The famous story of a young boy named Satyakama. And he came to approach one Angira Rishi, I think. And Angira Rishi only took Brahmin boys to his ashram to study. And he said, I want to study in your ashram. And so he said, what is your caste? He said, I don't know. I don't know my father. I never saw my father. I never heard anything about him. So he said, you go ask your mother and she would know. So he went and asked the mother, and the mother said, I don't know either. I was having many men, a maidservant in like a hotel or something. And they took care of the men, yes, I guess. So she doesn't know how she got pregnant. So the boy went back and he told Angira Rishi, my mother doesn't even know who the father is. So ordinarily, even in modern times to some extent, although I know several devotees who have that background, their mother has no idea who got them pregnant. They were drunk in some bar or something. Like if you ever read the Facebook of Drew Miller Prabhu, a big book distributor, and he's like that. It's just the mother met the guy, for as long as it took to get pregnant. That's about it. She doesn't remember anything about him, never got his name. So, but there's many people like that now. And that's material. So this Angira Rishi said, you are Brahmana because you're honest. Because ordinarily someone would not want to admit that even his mother doesn't know who the father is, especially in Vedic culture time. He'd be outcast, they called in America bastard, and they were rejected, of course they made everywhere in the world the caste system, not according to skin color, or according to religion, according to language, according to what country you're born in, they judge people. I've seen it in Nigeria. Oh yeah, all the Hausers are like that. We know them, all the Yorubas are like this. And there may be, in general, there's some, but no hard and fast rules. Everywhere there's Brahmanas, everywhere there's Kshatriyas, everywhere there's Vaishyas, everywhere there's Shudras, everywhere there's Mlechas. that, and nowadays almost everybody's militia because they're outside the four varnas, for the meat eaters and drunkards, and they don't follow any Vedic regulations or anything. So they're not even Sudras. But they work like Sudras, they work like Brahmins. Some people are scholarly, priests in so many different religions, or whatever you want to call them, an imam or a rabbi or a priest, monk, or, everybody has their different name. They give their religious teachers or their professors, teachers. Those are generally supposed to be rabbinical. There's always soldiers and police and administrator types. But they're not generally really Kshatriyas because they're often exploiting the weak. And Kshatriya is meant to protect, Kshatriya, to protect you from getting cut. Kshat means cut, and Triya means protection, Triya. So they're supposed to be protecting the innocent people from the violent. But many times they're exploiting the people, taking advantage of their power. The Vaishyas are, their main business is selling drugs and whiskey and meat and, all kinds of things. It's not Vaishya. Vaishyas, Shishi Goraksha Varnijam, they're supposed to be protecting the cows and dealing in cow products. A few people are doing that, but even the ones that sell the dairy business, they don't take care of the cows. They kill them, and when they can't produce enough to make a profit. And the Sudras are not submissive. The Sudras become prominent. Actors, singers, professional athletes, they're Sudras. Movie stars, and they act like Sudras. We read about them. They're usually drunkards, and they're changing wives and husbands constantly. But they're spokesmen. They're always on the television or something, giving their opinion, and everybody's listening to them. And in America, anyway, the presidential campaign, they try to get famous movie stars and singers to campaign for them and sing at their inauguration, and they show who their friends are. So this is what people look up to, those kind of people. A brahmana, a poor brahmana, renounced, the general society looks down on him. Kali Yuga. If you're not making big money, then you're considered like, a loser. Is that right? Am I talking too fast or?
Yes, Guru, but no, it's okay. You are good.
Okay. Okay, I just have to check if it's still online because I've been getting cut off lately a lot.
Yeah, we are hearing you.
I don't have Wi-Fi where I'm staying, and the 4G is up and down depending on the time of day and the rain. Okay, so this is also interesting. There's the different kinds of enemies that should be killed. One who sets fire to the house. And Ashwatthama did that. He burned down the whole camp, killed everybody. One who gives poison. Of course, so many people are doing that now. The drug dealers and the whiskey sellers and who knows what else, But, and then one who attacks all of a sudden with deadly weapons. That's happening more and more often in all kinds of countries. Even in Japan a few years ago, it was happening to school kids, killing their grandmothers and stuff. Plunders your wealth, steals you, cheats you out of all your money, common thing. Or usurps agricultural fields, takes away your land one way or another. Sometimes they're just chasing people out, forcing them out. If some farmer doesn't want to sell his land to a developer, and then they just find a way to chase them out, and they burn everything, they threaten them, they do something. And one who entices one wife, that means actually comes after the wife for sex. they're all qualified to be killed. Even if they're a Brahmana or a so-called son of a, they wouldn't be a Brahmin to do that. They have to be punished. Here it says punished, in other places it says they can be killed. You know. In America, like that, your own property. Devotees in the early days, they were very, everything belongs to Krishna, and the karmis are stealing everything from Krishna. And they would go and steal flowers from people's yards in the early morning time in the dark. And I think it was in LA, they got caught, and the police came, and the neighbor, they said, if you come again, I'm going to shoot you. And the police said, yeah, you have a right to do that. They're trespassing on your property, they're stealing your flowers. So you have a right to shoot them. So that's still present now. We had a case in LA also in the early days of a devotee was having an affair with another devotee's wife. And the husband of the girl caught him in the act and killed him. And he got manslaughter or something, he got a couple of years in jail because he said, that's a good reason to kill somebody. So even now, modern law, but, and arsonist. So there's laws everywhere. Vedic laws are much better because they cover everything. So Arjuna is, trying to pacify Draupadi. You can't imagine how, after all this life, she's had so much trouble and exile, and, finally she's settled down. She's a queen. She's, and she's got 5 children from 5 different husbands. They're grown up. They're all first class, Kshatriyas. And they all get killed at the same time by, her so-called friend's son. The wife of Dronacharya is her friend. So we've seen mothers whose child dies, it's so traumatic for them. I know one of my god sisters, her son died, and, he was 40 or something, and he was very sick for a long time. She can't get over it. She just keeps talking about it all the time, how distressed she is and missing him. A very deep thing. So Arjuna is trying to pacify her that we'll get justice, we'll kill him, and then, that's the typical thing people want to do. Once in a while we hear about Christians or somebody. I even heard recently about one Muslim, somebody had killed his brother, and he came in the court and said that I forgive him, One Christian guy, 2 boys, I think, they killed his son. They weren't very old, teenagers. He asked the judge to give him these 2 boys, and he would raise them to be Christians. And he did. And they became, good boys. And he gave them love and fatherly affection. So there are people like that know how to forgive. And that's the power of a Brahmana, is to forgive, not to be aggressive. So it's a terrible thing how Ashwatthama did. But the point of this Leela is, how Arjuna has to make this decision, which comes up later, what to do with the guy. Because of different opinions coming from people that are all very dear to him, what to do. So that comes up, and it's a very interesting thing and very important for us to study, how these great personalities deal with different situations and how they can compromise, many conflicting opinions and instructions and bring it all down where they cover everything to satisfy everybody. This is what devotees should be able to do when we have any kind of conflict. We never have a conflict quite like the Mahabharata, but it's similar, but not on any scale like that. Devotees are always conflicted nowadays. all over the world, devotees are conflicted about COVID. Some say it's totally bogus. Some say, anybody that doesn't wear a mask is a demon. Some say anyone that wears a mask is a demon because they're surrendering to the demons, and nobody knows what's going on. And the world is so Kali Yugaized. But we have Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's absolutely glorious. Covers everything that anyone needs to know. And Prabhupada, did the miracle of writing the purports in such a way that even people from any country in the world with so many different backgrounds, so many different levels of education, it's a miracle. Because generally the Bhagavatam and the commentaries are for scholars, previously, not for everybody. And Prabhupada was able to make these purports and present things in such a way that even, people like me, no education, no devotion, we can somehow appreciate it and somehow get some understanding. People from China, from Africa, from everywhere, so many languages, and they're all, everyone's able to read it. Even old PhD Sanskrit scholars, Indologists, they say it's great. Young children, 12, 13 years old, even younger, they read the Krishna book and they love it, and they tell everybody the stories. This is a phenomenon. This is, the special mercy of Lord Nityananda in the Kali Yuga. So we've been given this mercy, just causeless mercy, it's called. I heard Chandramali Swami, I saw he speak sometimes. He's a great preacher, and he preaches in the jails in America. And a lot of prisoners, even murderers, have become really good devotees. And they say in the jail they feel, they just they just chant. They don't have to do anything. A lot of them, they just sit in the jail. So they start chanting and worshiping, and they offer something, and they're very happy. They feel free. But, and then when they get out, they become very good devotees. Krishna helps them. But someone asked him, "How are you?" And he said, "Better than I deserve." So that's a brilliant humility. Whatever the condition is, he may have the COVID. He did have COVID, but it wasn't very serious. But, he may have cancer or anything, but still he's saying, better than I deserve. I don't deserve to be alive even. What to speak of being a devotee and in association of devotees and having the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Maha Mantra and all these things. How can we think, what have we done? Did we actually do something pious in the previous life, or what was it? Or it's just the causeless mercy of the Lord? No. In my case, it's many of you maybe because you're very intelligent and, we're serious Christians or something. In my case, I don't know. There was no pious activities dedicated to sinful activities, cow killing. But Krishna just picks us up. And thousands and millions of people all over the world. And they all can read Prabhupada's purports. Everybody can connect to Prabhupada. And that way connect to Krishna. We have to connect through the devotees, or connect through the Guru. Prabhupada says we can't become a devotee without the blessings of a devotee. We seek out the blessings of devotees by serving devotees and pleasing them, and then they will bless us. Right? We don't have to ask for, devotees automatically bless devotees, and devotees bless even people that are inimical to them. That's a lot of times devotees ask me, how should we react to people that blaspheme us and criticize? And now here in Bali, the heavenly planet of Bali, There's a lot of demons, fanatic, so-called Hindus. And I said, you should bless them. We should pray for them. That would be the real Vaishnava reaction. And we should preach to the nice people so that, we don't let these people just educate everybody. And we should be educating the mass of people no matter what, whether everything is fine and completely supported by the government, and where you're in India, like you might, I don't know if you heard the score for this Bhagavad Gita distribution in December. They had a goal of 2 million Bhagavad Gitas for the marathon, which went about almost 5 or 6 weeks. And they distributed 2,100,000 or something. So I just saw the list, and India was 1,700,000 and some thousand. So that's pretty big percentage of the total, right? Anybody calculate that quick? 17 out of 20, right?
Yeah.
It's a very high percentage. So like 80% and more. And it's India now. But when the devotees were first in India, they insisted it's impossible to sell books in India. Everybody already has a book and all this kind of talk, But some devotees pushed on, and kept telling people how Prabhupada's books are different. The movement became popular, and now they just, sell so many books, and Indian businessmen buy 10,000 Bhagavad Gitas, sometimes more. That's how they do so many. Then they give them free in the prison and the orphanage and the old people and, So this is what happens if we just persevere, no matter where we are. In Africa, we were visiting one favorable king, I think in Ghana. He said, I really love to see you people. It was funny because we were there with the king, and then his minister kind of people came in, and they were looking at us like, what are they doing here, And then the king started glorifying Hare Krishna. And he said, I'm so happy when I see you people out on chanting. I think he even would loan his bus sometimes. And he said, reminds me of the Christians. When the Christians first came, they were very unpopular. They had a lot of trouble, but they just kept at it. Now, it's so many Christians, and they become very prominent. And then they're against us. That's the way things work in Kali. But gradually they become okay also, because they get to know. The intelligent ones get to know. They read the Bhagavad Gita, they read Prabhupada's books, they meet intelligent devotees and see what they're really doing and what we're not doing, and they admire it. Like here in Bali, the different people were making these empty threats actually of attacking the temples and stuff. And so the police were coming to see what's going on. And the devotees would explain to the police, we don't take any drugs, we don't. And the police were like, oh, that's great. This is wonderful. I love this. They kept coming back, They like to get prasadam and talk to devotees. So then, they become friends. That's what happens when people just get to know a devotee. So devotees, just get out and talk to people. Charlie Boy told me that. You have to get out and talk to people. They don't know who you are. They think you're crazy. You got to get out and meet people and let them know. Actually, it was funny. We were there to do television. I was with Mahavishnu Swami. And just when he was going to film the television, the electricity went off. So they couldn't film. We were sitting there for a few hours. So we just talking, philosophy. And he said, wow, I didn't know you people had any philosophy. I thought you were just like, happy-go-lucky, whatever. This is amazing, he said. So that's what happens when we meet intelligent people. So we just have to keep trying, look for the good, look for the nice people, preach to them, avoid the demons, spread the holy name, spread the books. I keep saying this in West Africa, let's get moving. There was a time when there was very big book distribution, and we keep talking about this and that, but let's see it happen. I only get a report now from Chaitaguru and Port Harcourt, and he's really working out, but it's small numbers. But if many devotees do small numbers, that adds up. But also people get used to us and they buy more books. The whole country gets purified. So let's go for it. Books are there. We can get more books. This year I'm not sure how many free books we can get because they didn't have the same kind of marathon in India. So anyway, that's, Ashwatthama. He's the son of Dronacharya. His story is Dronacharya was a Brahmin, a very poor Brahmin, very renounced. And the other boys were teasing Ashwatthama when he was very young, that, he didn't even know what milk was, or he never drank milk. They were forest Brahmins, just eating roots and fruits or something. So Dronacharya heard that Parshuram was giving away all his weapons. So he went to Parshuram and he got all his weapons. So he became the most powerful Kshatriya. Then he went to Dhritarashtra and offered to teach the children of the Kurus. So he got the job. So then Ashwatthama was not poor anymore, and he had prestige because he's the son of the guru, and he was great friends with, and in on all the plots. He was in on the poisoning Bhima, and he was in on the burning house and everything. He was always against the Pandavas. But he was a great warrior fighter. But then he just went crazy. Didn't follow any of the rules of war. Even in the battle, they set the rules in the beginning, but they didn't always follow. It was always the Kurus who didn't follow, then the Pandavas also didn't follow. They kept fighting after the sundown and, things like that, and they were killing people without weapons and many, many things, but war is like that. One of the big generals of America in World War II, he said, war is hell. There was a movie about one war hero, American boy, and it was called To Hell and Back. He was in the German front. And he got millions of awards because he killed so many Germans. And somehow he didn't get killed. So to hell and back. But the whole world is hell. You don't need COVID to be suffering. You don't need COVID to get sick. You don't need COVID to die. People are always getting sick. People are always growing old. People are always dying. It's nothing new. That's why Krishna says, Janra Mitra Jaravadhi, Dukkha Doshana Darshanam. Wake up. Always think of the miseries of birth, death, disease, and old age. Keep it on your mind because it's a fact. Be aware that we want to get out of here. We can't stop birth, death, disease, and old age in any way, except by getting out of the material world. Even in the heavenly planets, they don't have disease as far as I know, and they don't have birth, and they don't have old age, but it's temporary. They live and enjoy, and all of a sudden it's over. They don't grow old and rot away and die like we do, but they just live their certain time that's allotted to them, and then finished, and then back down into the earth. And maybe in a good family, but rich family or Brahmin family, depending on their karma from before. But it's always temporary. Hell is also temporary, but when you're there, it seems eternal. So let's see, is Sahadev around today so we can have some challenging questions?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, Sahadev is here.
Do you have
Guru Maharaj, thank you for your nice class. I have one question while we wait for Sahadev. My question is, you mentioned that Duracharya was very renounced, and that Swatama was his son. So how come the son of such a renounced sage has such mind to kill 5 children with a woman?
Well, first place, Dronacharya gave up that renounced life, became a big Kshatriya guru, and Ashwatthama was raised, but he was friends of Duryodhana, so he was thinking he's going to revenge Duryodhana, because he was still alive, and so he was thinking like that. So somehow, it doesn't matter, Hiranyakasipu was the king of the demons, but Prahlad was the most saintly person. Prabhupada's one son was very demoniac. So there's no guarantee about that. It's likely, that the son of somebody is similar to the husband, the wife, mother, and father, but not always. So, and this whole scene, it's all Krishna's Leela, and like Dronacharya, he went crazy during the war, and he started killing, using celestial weapons against ordinary soldiers and everything, breaking all the rules. So, Krishna said he had to kill, even though he's their teacher, and he wanted to die. He told Arjuna, when you fight me, use your full power, don't hold back. So that can happen. So he just, by bad association, he was friends of Duryodhana his whole life. And Duryodhana is just evil personified, He's like a partial incarnation of Kali, empowered by Kali to, create disturbance. All right?
Thank you, Gurudev. Our next question is from Keshava Prabhu.
Nice
Keshava.
picture. Nice picture behind me.
Thank you, Gurudev. Keshava, please.
Yes, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Maharaj, you were saying about, one being a Brahmin by qualification, not so much by birth. But we find in ISKCON, and I don't know if this is because of Veda culture or if it's ISKCON's perception or application of it, but we often find that those devotees who, after a certain period of time, have taken first initiation, automatically they're awarded second initiation. And in many cases, they're not eligible or qualified or have the inclination or temperament to be awarded Brahminical initiation. In the same way, we find that many devotees who are brahmachari, after they reach a certain age, they're automatically inducted into the sannyas order, when clearly they don't have the proper temperament or the proper sense control or whatever is required to maintain that ashram. So is this ISKCON's personal slant on the matter, or is this part of Veda culture that automatically from first initiation one assumed?
No, not automatic. Some gurus make people wait many years before they get second initiation.
No, but we find, that by one's qualities that they don't really have the temperament to become a Brahmin.
Generally, there's a lot of tests before someone to become a Brahmin, and they're recommended because they have quality. Now, maybe sometimes, but I haven't seen that. As far as sannyas, try applying for sannyas and find out how easy it is.
Oh, I know.
Ask Bhakti Dear Damodar Swami. It's very difficult.
No, but those things are good. That's good.
To be a sannyasi, this is for many years. Prabhupada gave it right away because he needed the warriors. He had to make battlefield promotions, and after that a little bit, but then it's become very, very strict. The sannyas ministry, they work people over, they have to go on 5 years waiting list, and they check their astrology, and they get reports from all the temples they visit. Many don't even try, even though they're big preachers, because it's too much trouble to go through it. to get
No,
approved. And then
my
everybody,
question. Oh, sorry.
every candidate has to come before the whole GBC.
Mhm.
So if there's anyone on the GBC that says, wait a minute, this guy was in my zone and he did this or that, again, he gets back and you say, well, wait another year, you know,
Yeah.
and some get kicked off. So it's not automatic at all. And the sannyasis that are taking sannyas are quite qualified, the ones I've seen. Very sattvic and good preachers and humble and all the different qualities. Second initiation is sometimes given cheaply, you know,
Yes, I know.
but not maybe where you are, but in most places not. Most gurus, they don't want to take the risk, you know,
Mhm.
initiating just anybody they want to know. But some temple presidents are too liberal, some are too strict. There's some temple presidents that won't recommend a grihasta unless he's donating a certain amount of money every month.
Wow. Wow.
It's like selling initiations. I would never initiate someone who just paid for it. But that happened years ago, and then we made a rule that, you know, because some people, they live far away from the temple, they can't come regularly, and then the president doesn't want to initiate. So if they have a Namhata preacher or someone else who knows them, they can recommend them. So
Maharaj, we see something like Bhakti Chur Maharaj, you know, he won't give second initiation to somebody unless they have an interest in doing deity worship or something. And that seems to make a lot more sense, doesn't it? It's not automatically that one becomes eligible for sannyas just because they've been practicing sadhana bhakti for a certain amount of time.
sannyas, I said it's not easy
Right, yeah, yeah.
because no sannyasi can just give someone sannyas independently. It has to go through the sannyas committee, and they have to make this huge application. They have to get 10 people to recommend them. You know, it's a real big, you try it, see what it's like. You know, I know, like Tribhuvanath Prabhu, he was more of a sannyasi than anybody, but he just didn't want to bother with the process, so he just stayed brahmachari.
Mm.
Preached until his cancer knocked him out. And others also. But as far as second initiation, you know, and we just had a big discussion in the scholastic advisory committee. They did a big study, and to get the mantras, it's not necessary that someone is working as a Brahminical, so-called Brahminical work, but bhakti is also another qualification.
Mhm.
So if somebody's seriously practicing bhakti, even if they work in a factory or they're, you know, a salaried clerk or something, they can still be qualified to have those mantras if they're following the bhakti principles. But usually, you know, Prabhupada even wanted 1 year most of the time.
Mhm.
6 months at first. And sometimes, you know, I know in the old days, they'd say, well, Prabhupada, you know, we need a pujari and give this person, give him second and first sit. Give Bhakti Charmaj second and first at the same time. And he gave him sannyas very quickly. And the other older devotees were saying, Prabhupada is just a new devotee, you shouldn't do it. Prabhupada, get out of my face. You know? And he turned out to be a very good sannyas.
Actually, if
That's
I can ask another question.
None of us can do that.
Actually,
Okay?
if I can ask another question, because I was speaking with a Prabhupada disciple yesterday morning here in Vrindavan, and they were telling me that real initiation is second initiation. First initiation is just a formality, and that the person who gives second initiation, that becomes your spiritual master. It's not that the person who gives you Harinam Diksha. And you know, they were saying that this is supported in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I would just like to hear your comment on that, please.
Well, it's not supported by Prabhupada's actions. It's coming from the Gaudiya Math people who are, you know, Prabhupada, you can look in the database and the letters. I have enclosed the beads, and your name is Keshava, and I accept you as my initiated disciple. And he also said at one point, because they were getting too loose with second initiation, devotees were falling down. He said, not everybody needs second initiation. But
Yes.
this Narayan people, I shouldn't say names, but these people, they like they came to China. Tamal Krishna was not giving any second initiation for a long time because they're mostly old ladies. They live away from devotees. They don't have temples, and you know, and those preachers came in and they said, you can't go back to Godhead without second initiation, and we will give it right away. Pure devotee Maharaj will give it right now. We don't care, what your qualification is, and you can't go back to Godhead without it. So many left. They did that. Then all of a sudden, they weren't in ISKCON, but they had no sangha with that group and no association. Those people never came back. They just gave them the initiation. Prabhupada said the first initiation is, I accept you as my initiated disciple. And
So Maharaj, even if that disciple takes,
the Gayatri mantra is not needed to go back to Godhead. The Maha mantra is needed. And the
yes,
Gayatri mantra, if we chant it seriously and meditate on it, it should help us to become better chanters of the Maha mantra. That's the whole idea. And if we can worship deities in a temple, or we can be a authorized preacher, that will help us in our chanting Hare Krishna. But you don't have to have Gayatri mantra to go back to Godhead. But they were preaching like that. So a lot of Prabhupada so-called, I'm sorry, we had at the 40th anniversary of Krishna Balaram, Smar Hari Prabhu, who's quite intelligent and strong, he was guarding the door for prasadam, supposed to be Prabhupada disciples only. So some of these came that had been initiated by Prabhupada, but they've been away from ISKCON for years and fanatically preaching another mission, another guru. And he said, you can't come in. And he said, I'm Prabhupada disciple. And he said, you're Prabhupada initiated, you're not Prabhupada disciple. He said, and he came and asked us, is that all right? And I said that. I said, yeah, it's good. In fact, disciple means accepting the discipline. So they just find everything they want, but Prabhupada's action was not like that.
but Maharaj, if somebody takes a second initiation from another devotee, the relationship they have with their first initiation, that relationship remains unaffected.
Yeah, they have two gurus.
Yes.
But they may be taking more guidance from the second initiating guru because he's with them.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just a formality. Now, I've given second initiation to a few people whose first initiating disciple guru left, and we just have a very good relationship. But it doesn't minimize the original connection, and someone had connected them with Krishna in the first place. That's a ridiculous idea.
That's what I was told yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I said it's Vrindavan. Look out. Dangerous place. So many crazy people going around. There's so many sahajiyas, so many this and that, and Mayavadis, and so many remnants of ISKCON who somehow left and, learned the real thing somewhere else. And come back and preach to young, new people they think are innocent. Dangerous.
Well, Maharaj, this is a Prabhupada disciple in good standing. I don't want to say who it was, but yes.
Well, still, that's not right. According to Prabhupada, according to GBC, China, they had to, write a whole big explanation about it for the devotees, that were getting bewildered by that idea.
Thank you, Gurudev. Let's see if Sahadev is ready for his question. Sahadev, are you there? You raised your hand before.
Yes, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I
Pat,
have one.
can you put your camera on?
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, it's okay now.
We like to have everybody have the camera on. You know, every time I listen to some other speaker on another, they always ask everybody to turn on the camera. There you go. Not a very good angle for your camera, but at least we can see you're actually there. Big dancer. Are you still dancing? You're at work. You're in the hospital? Okay, let's hear the question. Let's hear it.
Sorry,
No,
Prabhu,
we're losing.
Prabhu, I think you can off the camera now due to your network.
Yeah. Turn off the camera.
Yes.
Oh, that's better.
Okay. All right. Maharaj, my question is, Srila Prabhupada was talking about if someone is an arson, such a person could be killed. But we see Hanuman set a whole city on fire that did not get killed. So is there an exception to that
Obviously,
law?
exception.
Hare Krishna.
He was, they're all demons. It was the city of the Rakshasas who were causing great trouble all over the universe. So he was a hero to do that. He wasn't an aggressor. They attacked him. He was defending himself and defending, Sita and Ram and everybody. So that's obviously not the same situation as someone who sneaks into your house and sets a bomb and a tank of gas and a fuse and burns it down to get the insurance or something, or to kill somebody. For every rule, there's exceptions, but the rules are also, the exceptions also have rules. So like in the battle, when Bhima killed Duryodhana by hitting him below the belt, that's against the rules. And Balaram was very angry, and Bhima broke the rules. And Krishna said no, because he took this vow, at the dice game, he took this vow to break the legs of Duryodhana in the battle, in the war. And that's a Kshatriya vow, and he said that transcends it, because Duryodhana was so offensive, he was enticing the wife of the Pandavas. That's a capital crime in itself. So, therefore, the breaking that little rule at the end is okay. But not that you can always do that. Not just anybody can do that. You understand? Hardball?
Yes, Gurudev, I think he's...
Yes, Maharaj, thank you.
Okay.
Any other question?
Throughout the Battle of Kurukshetra, the same thing when Bhima ripped out the heart of Dushashan and was drinking the blood, everybody was shocked, but Krishna said, no, he vowed to do that, so therefore it's all right. Because he'd also, physically abused Draupadi. He tried to rape her and rip off her clothes. So they deserved to be killed. And then it said he didn't really drink the blood, he just poured it out, All right? Anyone else?
Any question on board? Since there's no more question, Prabhu
Okay.
Shivas is here. Maybe he has something to say.
Yeah, please say something.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I said my humble obeisances. Glory to Krishna Prabhupada.
Welcome to Ghana. Nice to see you back.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for your wonderful class. I think one thing you mentioned that I wanted to say was that for me, I think anybody who has met Srila Prabhupada and has contributed to Srila Prabhupada's mission, such are very special souls. And I came across somewhere Srila Prabhupada said actually that his disciples were sent by his Guru Maharaj to come and assist him in establishing Lord Chaitanya's mission. So, but due to your humility, out of your great humility, you were saying you are not qualified, but you're most qualified because Srila Prabhupada sees all of his disciples as extensions of his Guru Maharaj. So I want to say that you're most qualified to have assisted Srila Prabhupada, to have met Srila Prabhupada, assisted him to establish this beautiful movement, and still, you are still there expanding the mission, getting more people to take to Krishna consciousness. That is your qualification, Maharaj. So
Yeah, you are doing it also. And it's true. There are many that joined and did incredible service in the beginning, and then they left for whatever reason. Some left just for sense gratification. Some left, to join other movements and take another guru. And then they're still glorious, and I'm sure they'll go back to Godhead, but we might not want to hear from them and associate too intimately unless we can pick them up and change them. But everybody, and that's everybody that joins this kind is special. Everybody, every Prabhupada is for everybody. We're all hopefully going by his books and his structure and all these things. And so please join up, everybody. You joined a long time ago.
thank you, Maharaj.
Africa, it's a good place in many ways. And Prabhupada told the first devotees to go there, buy a lot of land because when there's a war, it's going to be in the northern hemisphere. And Africa will be, won't get blown up like if their big war comes. But now nobody's afraid of war. They're afraid of COVID. I don't know exactly what. But there's always trouble, and there's trouble within any society. People that join, Prabhupada said, we are seeing people join with different motives and then they leave. Some just leave and they're still friendly. Some leave and become inimical, say that they were abused and stuff. And might be true because everyone has their karma. But it's glorious society and we need to spread it all over the world. There's no hope. If you just go through Prabhupada's purports and lectures and see how many times he said there's no other hope for the world than this movement. Just constantly, especially Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says it in different words exactly, so you'd have to analyze carefully, but thousands of times. There's no other hope. There's no hope for the world except this Sankirtan movement. And spreading the chanting of the holy name and the Bhagavad Gita as it is. All right. Thank you.
Yes, Gurudev. Thank you very much for coming. We look forward for your class on 25th, Nityananda's appearance day.
What
We
day
asked
is that?
25th. Yeah,
25th.
Nityananda's appearance day, 6 speakers. We speak like Rastami or Jamastami day.
Time flies. Huh?
Yes. Please, we ask all devotees to kindly unmute yourselves and let's chant Hare Krishna for Guru Maharaj for coming.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare. Bye-bye.
Hare Rama, Hare